They'll be calling you a radical, so the dirtbags line up for the political theater. Fucking to buy their puppets. Left puppet, right puppet. So, my old beater car, you know, that thing's got 240 something thousand miles on it. So I got it to the mechanic. The heads are gone. Complete compression failure. I mean, it runs pretty good, but it won't pass emissions, blah, blah, blah. So, it's going to cost me about $1,000 that I really don't have. So, the fight goes on and on and on and on. This historic work, Kevin Blanch. It's been exhausting. What happened to you financially? Listen, I was a millionaire. I mean, visual proof. Self-made guy. Right there on YouTube. You can look it up. You can see it. I had you shorting silver at 49 in 2009-10 on YouTube. Had you going all in Apple in 2009-10. All in Apple. Play back the tape, Your Honor. Had you buying Tesla? Fuck. Who knew that? Well, had you buying Tesla went on public, but Elon Musk didn't own Tesla. Right? Hell no. I mean, you think about it, I graduate here, the #1 school of business in the United States in 96, the highest exit scores in the history of the country. And Wharton was our sister school. Elon Musk was at Wharton at the same time. I was at Weber State. I was the Bill Russell here. And so I got leukemia in 2011, and one of the few times in my whole life I was uninsured. By the way, this university could have paid for it, and they didn't. So, where'd you sleep? In the dead fucking pines with the sons from Fukushima, Japan. The house the nuclear cartel built. So, this is important. So, in Utah, my uncle, the famous doctor here, he's with the Mayo Clinic now. It's like, Kevin, when they finally figured it out, it took them a long time, misdiagnosed me. It's AML de novo, it's radical as hell. The survival rate of what you have is less than 1%, because my marker was like way up there, and they finally bone marrow went into my hip. Kids and had to figure it out. I was uninsured. Still got all that money in the stock market? Yeah, I got about $1 million in the stock market. Well, you got to fork it over to get in. Well, I'm going to go to the Mayo Clinic then. No, you're going to LDSC State. There's a guy named from Denmark named Fimbo Peterson. I've already talked to him about you. They don't take guys with a marker 44. He's the best in the world. I remember when I went in there, he put so much work into me. I says, I'll be your good statistic. And Vincent knew me, Hanson, since I was a boy. He says, no, I wouldn't recommend anybody, except probably you, to go in there, because I've known you since I was a kid. You're tough as hell. You're a fighter. You're one of those. I think that you're a candidate for this type of treatment that Fimbo's using now. He's using rounds. They used a new radical chemo. And by the way, radiation, chemo are two very separate treatments, 100% different. So they used a new, really, China been using it before, the turkey tail RCM squared on me. Marshall Jensen was in the room next to me, probably the most famous leukemia case in American history. First one to get the HIV genome fight fire with fire. Marshall died. Everybody then in the car, everybody that was in there, the greenwashing bus, died. So, but they say it's working now, Marshall the Pioneer. I mean, I think about those people every day. It was brutal in there. I mean brutal. I got down to 119 pounds, going in and out of a coma, no pigment in my eyes, blisters on my tongue, blisters down my throat. Lived on a bag for a long time until my stomach started to shrivel up. It was so hardcore. I think about it, and I mean, I think about that place. Holy fuck. But the chemo was experimental. It worked, but I had 3 rounds. I was too sick for a transplant, and everybody thought I'd die. 2012. So I went to the coast of California and I walked the entire coast documenting the Great Pacific Genocide. Including myself, had a high probability that I would die out there, drip into the sea. Did all that historic work for all those years. So the chemo took out my gallbladder. Mike Lee, after I forked over $1 million, kicked me off Medicaid. Yeah, that fucking dirtbag. Why I'm in the unit. So I remember I was due to have my gallbladder out because the chemo had destroyed my gallbladder. The day I was ready to have my gallbladder, the surgeon's office, just a couple days before, called and says, you've been kicked off Medicaid. Well, what? In Utah in 2015, May 31st, I was due on June 2nd for the surgery. Mike Lee he sent our own money back in his protest against Obamacare. Remember John Huntsman's father went after him? I'm going to run my son against you. And then his son becomes, in the clique, the cult, the club becomes his campaign manager. By the way, isn't Mike Lee's campaign manager hasn't he been found guilty? So, this place is so fucking corrupt. So he won't do the surgery. I says, I'll have to go on the mother and just try to treat it holistically, which I did for a long time. It ruptured in 2018, almost died. My heart valve went in 2016 from the chemo. And I was born with a heart murmur anyway. My uncle, the famous heart surgeon, Kevin, you kick the can as long as you can. We'll get better. Toughen up. Toughen up. God, he was mean to me, I think, back. But he was right. Don't let him open unless you're going to die. And I'm a surgeon. Famous heart surgeon. So they opened me, split me all the way up, and pulled my heart out of my chest, and replaced my aortic valve in 2017. Michael Hopkins, Ogden Regional Medical Center, wouldn't treat me because I had anything, and I was bleeding profusely. Told me to go see my dentist. I collapsed in my yard on Easter. I don't know how I didn't die. So they replaced it. Open heart surgery on May Day 2017. Brutal. I mean, split me all the way down. I kept telling them it's not working, but I'm kicked off Medicaid. I'm out of money. And no one will insure me. They won't touch me. Even under Obamacare, they won't touch me. So I've exhausted all my money. I went from self-made millionaire to zero overnight. Literally, I didn't have money for food. I don't know how I didn't lose my house. I lost everything I had. Welcome to America, because we got to pay for that. What's that? The military industrialized war pigs. So, I kept telling him it didn't work. The team doctor here at Weber State, Dr. Matson, is my doctor. Well, he runs the clinic and oversees all the young interns. Collado was my cardiologist here. And, of course, I went to Ogden Medical Regional Center, and a guy named, what was his name? Something Hawkins. I think it was Michael Hawkins. Told me to go see my dentist. And the state investigated him and said I didn't know this then, but emergency room doctors don't have to be MDs. I think he was a chiropractor. And anyway, so I kept telling him it's not working. Kept Collado, it's not working. Right to his face, dozens of times. No, it's neuropathy. It's neuropathy. So finally, as you know, I had a really massive heart attack on Christmas Eve last year. Well, it'll be almost going on 2 years. 2 of them. They're still telling me, no, it wasn't a heart attack. It was a young doctor. Dr. Hansen saved me, and now the young Dr. Hansen. In the clinic, he laid over all my cardiograms. He says, look, there's a differential right there. You need to get into the lab. So I hurried and called, made an appointment to the lab. I knew I don't know how I didn't die. And they're like, yeah, your electrics is completely fried out. So they were going to just put a pacemaker in. I'm like, no. My daughter's arguing with him. No, I think he's had a heart attack. And they're like, no, it was the butcher, right as I'm ready to go in to be opened up for the pacemaker, one of the butchers. Those guys, he heard us talking. He went out and he told Collado and those guys, he said, no. I think this guy's had an event. So he ran the blood test, one of the butchers. And he ran the blood test and the marker. Yeah, there's been an event. So they went into my groin. And I've gone through my wrist lots of times. Going through your groin, Anyway, he was in there a long, long time. Lindley, I mean, they stayed with it. They stayed with it. They stayed with it. Sure shit. They're like, oh, yeah. Yep, there it is. You've had a heart attack, all right. That valve was all fucking clogged up, just like you said. So they opened me again, tore me up. And Dr. Goff, David Goff, who saved my life. I wish he'd have done it the first time. Connor did it the first time. And I had to harvest an artery out of my leg. And he reconstructed the 3 that come up when he had to close one's permanently closed, and he says, I fixed it. And he did fix it. I battling high blood pressure. Now they've been really working on me, and I've been working on it hard, got it under control. But in Utah, they go after you for medical debt. And I forked over $1 million, whatever, and uninsured. So they destroy your credit, they rip you to shreds, they beat you up, they, go after you viciously like wolves. That's what they've done to me. So I'm almost 65 years old. And so I've got financially, all this historic work I've done, I got financially ruined. I got to keep my house. I didn't lose it. Thank you to everybody who supported this historic fucking work, but that's what happened to me financially. So, I'm getting through it. I'm surviving. And I got thinking about it today. I think about all my life experiences when I was young and I was a self-made millionaire, had my big house, whatever. All my credentials, all the things I did around the world, was very good at what I did. Had my plastering business, was a derivative arbitrage trader, Wall Street guy. Very successful, the student professor, did a lot of things. I think about when I was rich, and I think about when I was hardcore poor, and I've been both. I think my life experiences have been so much more being poor than they were rich. And I had some cool life experiences when I had a lot of money. But my life experiences being poor, this journey, sweeter than used to have been. Well, they've been astounding, actually. The stuff I've seen on the ocean, the things that I've went through, it's been hardcore for 13 fucking years. Really hardcore. By the way, that mega welfare dairy next to me, who got backhanded his migrant worker in the face, knocked his teeth out, was charged a year ago today. Nothing. They dropped the charges, and then he's in the news again for their Green Acres farm for some kid. I mean, it's a crime family, but that's Utah. They'll support people like that. Who rips off PP money, who exploits migrant workers, who human traffics. They love people like that. But a person like me, trying to save you and the most accomplished activist in the history of the state of Utah, they hate me, including Mike Lee hates me. I asked Mike Lee to his face about Fukushima, and he lied to me. And his dad, his roots go back to Ogden, and his dad, he told me, my father, a downwinder. You're not. I mean, this is the disrespect. But I'm 7th generation here in Utah. You go to the cemetery, the first whitey buried there, look at the last name. Oh, it's Blanch. So, thank you, and everybody's fled me, but this work needs to go on. I need to continue my work, and I have to have a car. Where I live, there's no bus, there's no sidewalk, there's no bike lanes. Anybody who rides a bike gets killed out there. So I'll get it fixed. We'll get by with a little help from hey, you out there on the road, always doing what you're told. Can you help me? And I appreciate everybody who has helped me, and there has been some fantastic people. I got basically 2 people that support me in the Bay. The other people that tied on with me, well, I think they were agent provocateurs for the most. Well, I know they were. They had a different agenda, and it surely wasn't mine. And it surely wasn't anti-nuclear movement. And it sure was not exposing the greatest event in human history, the Fukushima disaster. The fact that I go into the bone marrow transplant on 11/11/11, what would Albert Einstein say? Kevin Blanch, your place in time. So I'm feeling so much better now. They got me in this new routine, keeping this blood pressure down, this heart. I mean, I'm split from here to here. It's different now for me, and from here to here. I Fukushima fish hook. I had radiation, light radiation. I was Dr. Thompson's last patient, and very light because Fimbo doesn't believe like radiation. He likes the chemo cocktail. They're two different things, but I still have people telling me how to stay alive. Just remember, I was given 2 months to live with an unsurvivable disease. 13 years ago right now, I'm alive. And alive and kicking. I'm very grateful. I'm very, very grateful to be alive. Count your blessings. And thank you to everybody. There's always been somebody. Every time I've been in need, whatever, it's always one person. Like when I used to fly all over, out of money, doing the work, always one person would show up and give me a ride or help me. It was always one. Just one. Just one. You know? And I've done the work. I mean, and I'll continue to do the fucking work. You know, I'll get by with a little help from my friends. So, hey, you out there on the road, always doing what you're told. Can you help me? Thank you to the people that have. You know, the most accomplished activists in the history of this fucking, well, probably in the fucking modern American history, the old USA. Now I knew what Semmelweis. There's a great quote out there by Orwell. If you're in the minority, even if that minority goes clear down to one person, and the minority is one person against the world, if you are right, if you're standing for truth, you're not mad. They're going to tell you you're mad, but you're not. I look back on it. Semmelweis was one person who stood up against the whole world on germ theory. The great PhD. Doctors wash their hands. Threw him in a rubber room, beat him to death. Michelangelo, one person who stood up against all that freaking usury. Stood up against it. One person, Tesla, stood up against all that usury. I even think about Einstein, how he stood up against the whole tsunami of freaking prono. And they were right. Kevin Blanch, March 2011. All new knowledge will be persecuted. I've been right the whole time, and I've done the work. And I say, this is the most historic PhD in human history. And I put it out there for God and everybody. How are you staying alive? I'm in the 1% studies. I'm a 1%. My doctor right here, Fimbo, who's retired now, says, you're not 1%. You're the 1% of the 1%. He says, you're the biggest miracle in my career. I did it without a transplant. I fight for her. She fights for we. Kevin D., the mighty blue lady from the sea. Alive and kicking. Make your everybody short, so I got to get this car done, fixed, and we'll get it done. You know? The fight goes on and on and on. Wow, who would have known? But this is the evil of Utah and how they treat their own people. Fuck, they're evil. This place is so fucking corrupt, it's unbelievable. I've seen the best doctors in the world. I've seen the worst doctors in the world right there. From Dr. Hansen to Dr. Hansen, both the best ever. David Goff saved my life. What a fantastic. Oh, Collado. Oh, God, dude. I mean, I remember the first ones. I mean, Taos. Oh, I've seen some bad doctors in here. And I mean some bad doctors. Go see your dentist, Michael Hawkins. Woo! But I've seen some good, really good. And the nurses, all these great nurses in this town, this incredible nursing school, they're the best. My CA, Melanie, down at their LDS, I think about her all the time. She's, how come you're not all right, I don't want to be. I want to be the foot washer. I want to be the CA. She retired now. She was my therapist. I was quarantined in there. She used to talk to me all the time. Now, Kevin, don't you die. You've come so far. I've been here for, decades. You're the biggest miracle. Celeste at LDS East State Bone Marrow Science, man. Kevin, come here. She's from Manhattan. I've been here for 26 years. You should be very proud of yourself. A lot of the high brass, a lot of people around here don't like the way you fight. I used to make videos in my room. Now they encourage it. The brass used to go after me for it. They said, fuck you. You took all my money. This is my fight. She says, you should be very proud of yourself. I've worked here for I prepared your paperwork the day you came in here. The doctors ranked you as a red 10. She says, I fully prepared to do your paperwork going out of here in a body bag that week. Never in the history of my 26 years have I seen a person come in marked a 10, let alone a red 10, come out of here alive. You should be very proud of yourself. I am. The fight is the life. You know, people still tell me how to survive cancer. There's the arrogance. 13 years, given no chance. Don't you think people would ask? It's the arrogance of America. Well, that's how people are. I'm sure fucking doctors. Until you walk through the valley, the shadow of death, which I have. Fuck, you cannot understand how another person. I thought I knew this fight. I watched Annika die of it. I watched my dad die of it. You really don't know until you're there. Oh, I've been there. I've been to the edge. I stood and looked down. I lost so many friends there. Got no time to fuck around. Goodbye with the friends. Hey, you out there on the road, always doing what you're told. Can you help me? Stay tuned.